Alrighty, everyone, what is going on? My name is Trevor Cherney. Thank you so much for joining the show once again. We have a pretty good show here today. Of course, we'll talk about the Lions and then their path, or at least their easiest path, their pathway to the playoffs. And then we got to discuss. We got to discuss this college football committee thing because, well, it is a thing, and I got a lot to say about it. So, but I'll leave it at that for now. So yeah, let's talk about the Lions and their easiest pathway now to the playoffs. So, Lions on Thursday night beat the Cowboys, by a couple of touchdowns. So that was good to see. Because the Cowboys, they were coming hot. They had won back-to-back off of, the same teams that were in the Super Bowl last year, so that being the Eagles and the Chiefs. So they're coming to Ford Field pretty hot. And I'm not going to lie. Look, for a second before the game on Thursday, I really thought that they were going to get blown out. I just had no faith and no confidence that they would win because, look, here's the thing is, Lions haven't lost back-to-back games in 3 years. I mean, it's an incredible accomplishment and an incredible feat by Dan Campbell and by that team. I mean, the fact they have lost back-to-back in 3 years is beyond impressive, and it just shows the grittiness of this team, if you will. And how they're able to respond and bounce back after a loss. So, and they did again. Now, what they haven't really done this season is win back-to-back games. The last time they did that was when they won back-to-back against the Browns and then the Bengals. So, and that was pre-Joe Burrow as well. That was when Joe Burrow was out with his injury as well. So, they haven't won a ton of back-to-back games this season, honestly, and that's something. And if they want to get into the playoffs, that's what they're going to have to do. Not only that, but their best way is to essentially just win out. Their last 4 games are against the Rams, Steelers, Vikings, and then they finish the season off in Chicago. So that's the remaining schedule of those 4 teams they face. If they go 4-0, they're in the playoffs. It would be hard to imagine this team going 4-0 in those games and not making the playoffs. Like, especially after being the Rams and being the Bears too. 2 of the best teams you have in your schedule left. You're getting the playoffs. So, look, the Lions, in a way, controlled their own destiny, right? Not necessarily like, is the easiest path to get the playoffs, but ultimately they still do control their own destiny because they still have a chance to win out and they still have a chance to get in the playoffs. So which is nice. Like I said, that's their best path to getting in the playoffs is by winning out. Now, if they don't win out, and let's say they lose, a game, well, then unfortunately they're going to need some massive help. And that's the situation, and that's the position that the Detroit Lions have put themselves into, this season. And now they're just going to have to reap what they sow, essentially. But yeah, like I said, their easiest way is to just win out, which is hard because, again, your next game is literally the LA Rams, who are one of the hotter teams in the NFL right now. They played really great football. Stafford's been playing great football. We'll get more to the Rams game on Thursday. But as it stands right now, it's going to be hard for the Detroit Lions to get in the playoffs, but like I said, their easiest way is just to win out. Simple as that. If they win out, They don't really have to worry about anything else. They don't have to worry about, about any other team, about them winning or them losing. They just have to worry about winning themselves. If they can do that, if they can take care of their own business, right, they can get in. And it starts with the Rams game. This game is so important for the Detroit Lions. It's not even funny. Like, obviously, yeah, they're not favored to win, and I don't expect them to win. But if they did win this game, that would be huge for their playoff chances, right? And then your playoff chances increases by that much. Quite a bit. Right now, they're under 50% to make the playoffs. If they were to beat the Rams on Sunday, that would be the percentage would be 60% instead of being under 50. So it just helps you tremendously in hopefully making the playoffs as long as you can win out here. So that's the best case scenario is to win out for the Lions. Okay, so and then I want to get into some college football and talk about the playoffs because I got some thoughts. First of all, it's a joke. It just is. The fact that James Madison is in the playoffs, the fact that Tulane is in the playoffs, and the fact that Alabama, they got spanked by Georgia and then some in the SEC championship. Even with that all happening, like, there's some point. They haven't moved. They didn't move. Literally, they were at 9 before, and they're still at 9. Like, you couldn't move them any further down, or how about even this? Get them out of the playoffs. Alabama does not deserve to be in the playoffs. They just don't. I'm sorry, but after losing to Georgia that badly, it's a joke. Like, the college football playoffs are just an absolute joke. And it's not just a Notre Dame problem, right? Obviously, nobody's crying about Notre Dame not being in the playoffs. Let's not kid ourselves here. I'm not here, weeping and moaning, just because Notre Dame's not in the playoffs. That's not the issue, right? But it's who's in over them, right? Like I said, James Madison is a 21-point underdog this in the playoffs. Tulane, 17 and a half point underdogs. And look, fine. You want to put Miami in the playoffs? Fine, go right ahead. They won the head-to-head matchup against Notre Dame. Sure, put in the playoffs. But again, why James Madison? Who cares? They're going to be gutter fodder in the first round. So will Tulane be. Like, I'm not sure why that these numbskulls, the college committee are a bunch of. Do they even watch these games? Like, I'm seriously questioning if they actually watch any of these games, right? And I know they posted a photo on social media where you saw the college football playoff committee, watch all their games and this and that, and they had like 4 screens and whatnot. I don't care. That's all for show. Like, and again, now you're just doing this for the last week of college football. Like, they probably had barely watched any college football up to that point. I'm done, dude. I'm done. I'm done with college football. The sport of itself is a joke. It's just become an absolute joke in every way possible. And greed has ruined college football. It has absolutely ruined college football in every way possible. By the networks, by the schools, getting these money, athletes getting paid astronomical amount of money. I mean, seriously, especially in their first year as well. You can be a incoming freshman into college, okay? And if you had not played one snap in college football, That's okay. You're still gonna get paid millions and millions of dollars. That's ridiculous. At least show something, right? Like it's just ridiculous that you're paying Bryce Underwood $4 million to have the season he did, and unfortunately, it was underwhelming. It just was. He ain't worth paying $4 million worth. That's crazy. I mean, the fact that there isn't a cap for this stuff, and there should be, but the fact that there isn't, and it's just all out, basically capitalism, right? Like the most unregulated, unregulated form of capitalism there is. It's basically college football nowadays. That's what it's become. I mean, you had Greg and Don Williams this past weekend donate $401 million to Michigan State athletics. I mean, good for Michigan State, but I mean, the fact that somebody has the ability to drop that amount of money, and that basically for them, it's like, oh, well, that's like pocket change for them, which is crazy to think about. College football college football of itself is just it's ruined. I'm not sure if there's any way to go back to what it was 6-8 years ago. You know, I don't think so. You know, and look, one of the problems is, here's the thing, and here's how you fix the 12-team playoff system we have right now. Okay, here's how you do it. You make it 8, and you make it, okay. Here's how it should work. The 4 winners of their 4 respective conferences will automatically get in, obviously. And then it's, the 4 others who didn't win their conference, they still have a chance to get in, right? And still make the playoffs. That's how it should be. I don't know why it's this thing of, oh, well, we got to make it 12, and then next year it might go to 16, or the year after that it might go 16, and then Tony Petitti, who is the commissioner of the Big Ten, who is a moron, by the way, but Tony Petitti, and he's spineless, by the way, too. But spineless Tony Petitti had basically said that, like, the other month or so, oh, well, why don't we go to 24 teams in the playoffs? No, just if that ever happens, I'm never watching college football ever again. If it goes to 24 teams, it will be wholly unserious, which is essentially what college football has become. They've become wholly unserious. They want to be NFL light so bad. But see, here's the problem. You don't have the competition like in the NFL, right? The margin of error is so small in the NFL because all those guys are so good and they're professionals. They do that for a living. Like, they work at their craft each and every day. They're not worrying about going to school. They're not worried about classes. They're not worried about anything else, okay, besides what happened in their personal life. But besides that, all they worry about is their personal life and football, because that's their job to do it. They get paid like it to do it. And college football, I know they want to go into this rabbit hole of, well, we want to be the NFL, and, well, we want to make as much money as the NFL. Look, the NFL is what the NFL is. Okay? Yes, it is a moneymaker. Okay? But you can't just do magic twice. That's not how it works. Okay? Something that worked in the NFL may not work the same way in college football. That's not how it works. That's not how it works, right? I mean, you can't just have, what is there, 14 teams in the playoffs like there is in the NFL, because guess what? The level of competition is so far apart in college football. I would argue it's so far apart from 8 to 9. Even going from 8 to 9, the competition is so far. Like, Miami doesn't really have a chance. Alabama doesn't have a chance. I would argue Texas A&M and the way they played, they don't really have a chance. Well, they might, but James Madison definitely doesn't have a chance. Tulane definitely doesn't have a chance to the playoffs. Why are these teams here? This isn't. Come on. No, nobody cares. Like, nobody. Why is BYU not in over Tulane or James Madison? Seriously. You could have literally had any other team, and you put in James Madison and Tulane. It's ridiculous. And when it goes to 16, it'll be even more unbearable. And when it goes to 24, that's when I'm out. Seriously. College football, especially the playoffs, and the whole playoff committee, the whole thing's a joke. The whole thing. Top to bottom, it's a joke. End of story. It's not fun to watch. Literally, the first week of college football playoffs is going to be a blowout each and every game. It's just not. It's not a good product anymore. It's not. You know. And now you're seeing. And look, here's the thing. I don't really blame Notre Dame for not going to a bowl game. Why would they? See, what people don't realize is for the last month, Notre Dame was firmly in the number 10, number 9 spot for an entire month, and now all of a sudden they're out. Yeah, I wouldn't want to. Yeah, I wouldn't want to go to a bowl game either two. If I were shammed like that. Here, seriously, it's an absolute joke what college football has turned into. An absolute joke. So, it's stupid, bro. It's really stupid. Alrighty. Anyways, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Please share as well with your friends and family. I appreciate it. And I hope you all have a great week. I'll see you on Thursday. Have a good one.